national level. You've got a huge population of young people who are becoming more aware. So we talk about the economy today. We talk about technology. We talk about agriculture. We talk about different aspects of human endeavor. And we see young people actually excelling. But what we have come to actually appreciate, that politics is everything. Politics determines the food that you eat. It determines the color or the clothes that you wear. To a great extent, politics even determines the air that you breathe. And so for young people, understanding the nature of our political economy, that access to resources or access to this so-called dividends of democracy is contingent on the state because the state has more power. So it's important to be in that decision-making room. And it's not just a quest for political power. It's just a demand citizens are making to elevate this discourse on public leadership. And you've got excellent young men, young women, and young persons with disability who have what it takes to actually provide leadership. And if democracy is about the people, then we shouldn't have mechanisms within our democratic process that eliminates this cross-section of our people. Because what we do is we lose the opportunity of harnessing the potentials of these people in public policy.
I don't think there's any doubt in the minds of most Nigerians that indeed the youth of our country have something to offer the country.
Yep.
But I do think that there is a question mark around whether or not there is a clear generational vision of what the young people would do with the country if granted the access to power that they're seeking. Is there a means, in your opinion, by which this kind of movement can metamorphose into something that is more tangible, into something that is more clearly articulated in terms of policy direction, in terms of implementation, in terms of how that might work in an official setting?
Absolutely. First, as a movement, we're not value neutral. There are specific values that we've actually itemized for ourselves. And for us, it's providing a counter-narrative as a generation. And there is lack of clarity on what we actually want to achieve. And when we talk about fixing politics, it's about fixing leadership. It's about ensuring that results and excellence is the driving philosophy of public leadership. It's about restructuring. It's about harnessing the potentials of our diversity. It's about national integration. We've got a clear vision. Our Constitution is very, very clear. Under Chapter 2, Directive Principles of State Policy and Fundamental Objectives, it's very, very clear. And we've marshaled out, ways that we can actually achieve this. But first, to a great extent, you need political power to actually get this going. And so we're very, very clear. We're not excited with the way our country is. We're so divided than we used to be. And that needs to be addressed. Is there a legitimate reason why you've got a cross-section of the country who feel marginalized? Yes, there is a legitimate reason. And they should have a sense of belonging to this country. And so for us, and you see, and how it's not too young to run, and the movement is actually structured, it's young people from different parts of the country who have relegated ethnicity and religion and are more interested on the Nigerian state because the future of this country will be determined by young people who constitute the larger bulk of our population.
Two quick questions for you. I find it interesting that you issue a threat to politicians or political parties that are interested in the youth vote. You say if you want the youth vote, these are things that you must do. Mm-hmm. Some people will say, do you really have that much control? Does your movement have that much control? I mean, by your movement, I don't mean you, I mean Yaga. Have that much control on the youth vote? Are you that in the grassroots? That's one. And then, I think we should quickly answer that one.
First, again, the Not Too Young to Run movement isn't a Yaga movement. The Not Too Young to Run movement is a movement of Nigerian youth, and the movement has taken a life of its own. It's even gone beyond us to a great extent. Do we have that measure of influence? Yes, we do have as a movement, because this is a rallying point for a lot of Nigerian youths today, and the politicians actually understand that. And what we said, and we make bold to say that we are in a place to mobilize 50 million young Nigerians who are registered to actually vote in 2019. And we've got our strategies for ensuring we do that. And the structure of Not Too Young to Run and the movement, at the national level, there's a strategy team. At the state, we've got coordinators. We're also in all the local government because we ensure that there were leadership teams that are developed. So we've got that structure. And different organizations who are part of the movement are also membership organizations who are in universities. I tell you that we've done town halls in all the states.
Because you know that a lot of universities are not even, I mean, they usually shut down during the elections. As a result, a lot of young people are not able to vote because where they register is very different from where they're supposed to vote. That usually has been the case.
Yeah.
Are you pressuring INEC or anybody else to be able to ensure that young people who register in universities are able to vote?
There's massive voter education and transfer of voter register currently going on. I am part of, my organization is part of a partnership with INEC, and we've been going across, supported by the European Union, we've been going across tertiary institutions, mobilizing young people and registering young people in the universities, which is really unprecedented. And we were in University of Abuja, and over 1,000 young people, students actually registered. We were in Unilag, and over 1,500 students registered. We just got back from BUK Kano, where we went to interact with students, and over 2,000
I think my colleague was
and
there.
Yes, Gimba.
Gimba was there.
At the end
he
of
said
that,
he was disappointed that not a lot of young
no,
people
we registered.
raised their hand that they had registered.
Yeah, actually, I actually asked that question at that town hall, and only a few young people. But that's why INEC is taking voter registration to them. And over 2,500 young people registered on that day because INEC conducted CVR. But there's also the transfer of voters register, and we're encouraging young people to actually, if you're not going to be on campus on the day of period of elections, you can transfer your voter registration details to a particular location where you will be. But I tell you, there is a framework that young people have designed and are engaging in the 2019 elections because it's going to be a determining factor for our own prosperity as a country.
Well, we have to take a break now. When we return, we'll be asking why is it that they seem to be barking only up the tree of political parties. What about the state electoral commissions, which conduct elections that deal more with the grassroots? In a moment, please stay with us. Well, Samson Itodo of Yaga is still with us in the studio. Just before we went on break, we're talking about putting pressure on the state electoral commissions. They conduct elections that do with local government chairmanship, councillorship, and things of the sort, which is where a lot of young people also believe that they stand very good chances because these are elections that have to do with the grassroots. Why aren't you also putting pressure on CX to conduct credible elections, at least maybe half as credible as what INEC is currently conducting?
Well, you can only put pressure on the sex if the governors, who are the gods in the state, decide that elections will hold. I give a case in point is Pt.2. Pt.2 state had to reschedule its local government elections several times because of either lack of funding, or we know exactly the fact that only the governors determine whether or not there are local government elections at the state. And this brings to the fore the constitutional amendment that the National Assembly had considered, even in the 7th Assembly, on establishing, properly institutionalizing the local government system within our constitution. But we lost that. And you situate this within the discourse on local government autonomy and the fact that you don't have sex, you don't have institutions at the state level. And look at all the elections that were conducted.
Is there no way then that we could pressure the governors? I mean, there is a Nigeria Governors Forum. Is there no way we can put some pressure on them to ensure that they conduct the elections in the first instance and that they also, set up very credible state electoral commissions?
But that's why, for me, I will expend energy in ensuring that the ground norm, which is the Constitution, provides that framework, because that's a guiding political and legal document that we have. Then the governors will be bound by the Constitution. But when the Constitution does not, the governors have a leeway. The local government elections are actually regulated by the electoral laws of the state. And so the State House of Assemblies, but thank God that to a large extent they got financial autonomy. So we hope in the next assembly, or even in this assembly, we'll see more energy and more forthrightness from the State House of Assembly. But local government elections are very, very important. They are the closest government to the people. We are encouraging young people to actually engage in local government elections, especially in states. One of the work that YAGA is currently doing with the European Union, we're actually gathering data across the 774 local governments of the country on local government elections, as well as where you have councillors who are actually young people, because we want to create that database. And I'll tell you that for some states, a lot of states have actually not conducted local government elections. In some states, you've got young people who actually councillors. Even in the FCT, we've got young people between 25 who are actually councillors. We encourage lots of young people. There's a lot of support that we're also providing to councillors who are actually young people, because that's a platform not just for governance or representation, but it's also a platform for building leadership capital, because the natural progression, and that's why for us, for 2019, we're focusing on State House of Assembly and the legislative elections, because the natural progression is by 2023, we'll have lots of young people at the national level.
We really have to go. We have to thank you for your thoughts. This definitely is going to be an ongoing conversation, because it's about young people, the political space, and you say that it's not a short-term plan. It's not a dash. It's a marathon, and we'll see how that that eventually goes.
But I must thank you guys and channels for actually amplifying out young children. We're very, very grateful. Thank you so much.
One of our jobs. Thank you too for thanking us. Samson Itodo is the head of the Youth Initiative for Advocacy, Growth and Advancement, also known as YAGA. That's where we wrap up the show today. Thank you so much for being such a wonderful part of it. We got your contributions. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Have a great day, everybody. I'm Ajuri Ngilale.
Goodbye from Lagos.
The views and opinions expressed by guests on this program are those of the maker and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions, and endorsement of Channels Television.